Hello students, this is Sam sir, and today we are going to learn the second chapter of civics. The topic is healthcare services in India. We live in a democratic country, and one of the provisions of the constitution of the country is right to life. So under that constitution, we have the right to good health and health services also. Since democracy is defined as a country which is chosen by the people, we choose our representatives, we choose our government. So it becomes the responsibility of the government to look after the well-being of the people. And in order to do that, the government has to give us good and essential healthcare services. So to do that, the government has to develop the health services and it has to implement it, and the government also has to monitor it. Now, since we are living in the time of COVID-19 pandemic, now if you just see these three things around you, the government develops policies. We are shortly going to have the lockdown 4.0 coming up, and then they'll be telling us on 18th of May what are the policies they are going to have for COVID-19, but they have policies for other illnesses and diseases and all the medical conditions for running the hospitals and the health centers. Everything is already well planned. So that is a developing part. Then comes the implementing part. So that is the actual how the policies are going to be implemented or made into effect. That is the implementing part. Now, again, when we take the example of COVID-19, during implementation, we have the rule of social distancing. We have the rule to cover our faces with mask. We have the rule to wash our hands or use sanitizers. Then the monitoring part is to see how things are progressing. Again, when we take the example of COVID-19, the government is giving us news of the number of new infections. Are there any zones still in red zones, or have they become orange zones? Are there any new green zones coming up? So this they monitor and tell us. Though it's the responsibility of the government to provide medical facilities to care for the people and also to protect the citizens from ailment. So cure and prevention both are important responsibilities of the government. Now let us see what is the definition of health. It means to remain free from any kind of sickness or injury. Now the injury and sickness can be physical or mental, or it can be both physical and mental. Mental well-being is equally or more important than the physical well-being. Before we go further, we have to understand one thing, that when we say government, it is not a set of people, separate set of people. Government means us only. It is us only. It is 100% you and I. So when we hear about rules, it's not that others have made it and we have to resist it or to break it. No, it's not like that. Yes, you can. In democracy, you can always tell your opinion. You can speak up and say what you think, but it is our duty because the rules have been made by ourselves. So we have to follow those rules, and ultimately, it's for our own benefit. Now, in order to be healthy, what should be done? One should have access to clean drinking water, because there are many diseases which are waterborne. That is, the organisms which cause those diseases are there in the water. Then one should live in a pollution-free environment as much as possible. One should get adequate nutrition as much as one can afford. One should live in hygienic conditions. This is very much possible because we can create our own hygienic conditions in and around our house. One should lead an active stress-free life. This becomes challenging as in the days of the modern age, because we are subjected to stress from all over. So as much as possible, we have to keep ourselves active, both mentally and physically, and one should forget the factors which cause stress. We have to ignore them, because there is nothing you can do to improve a condition just by thinking. Now, when we talk about healthcare services, what is included are hospitals, whether they are private or government owned or owned by trusts. We have the blood banks, we have the latest equipments, we have the medicines, we have the qualified doctors and qualified nurses. Now let us look at how healthcare in India is. Now when we say of healthcare, we are talking about two things. We are talking about the public health system and the private health system. When we say public health system, it is run by the government and managed by the government. And private health system or services are run by private institutions and private organizations. First, we'll look at the healthcare in India. Overall, there are, as on date of making this video, there are 535 medical colleges in India, private and government included. Now, this is the largest number in the world. And together, they have the capacity to provide medical education to 79,148 students per year. There are 2,717 hospitals. There were this many hospitals in the year 1950, but today all facilities, medical facilities included, including clinics, there are 37,725 medical facilities in India. We are number 4 in medical tourism. We have a surge in medical tourism, and medical tourism means people from other countries come to India to get the medical health care. People from all over the world come to India. Last year, some 5 lakh people or 500,000 people from other countries came to India, and they can provide India this year, by the end of the year, by US dollars 9 billion. I'm saying they can provide because they have the potential to do that, but at present, because of the COVID-19 situations, traveling is restricted. India is the 4th largest manufacturer and a leading exporter of medicines in the world. But still, there are some disturbing factors. Almost half of the children of India, that is some 2 crore children or 20 million children in India, do not get sufficient food and suffer from malnutrition. Majority of the people do not have access to clean drinking water. Out of 136 crore people, 60 crore people do not have access to clean drinking water. That is 600 million people. That's a big number. 21% of all the diseases are due to dirty water. And some examples are diarrhea, jaundice, hepatitis, cholera, and so on. It's a big list. Diseases such as tuberculosis kill 5 million people every year. 5 million is 50 lakh. That's a very big number. More than COVID-19 has killed all over the world. Malaria cases killed or affect 2 million or 20 lakh people per year. The mosquito on the right hand side is the Anopheles mosquito, and it is the causative agent of malaria. Now, such a condition is there existing in our country even after so many years of achieving independence. When we talk about healthcare in India, the ratio of qualified medical professionals and healthcare facilities in rural areas is very low. We talk about 37,000 medical facilities, but what is it in the view of 137 crore people? Only 37,000 healthcare centers. Rural people still have to travel a long distance to get their healthcare, and they often die due to lack of prompt and apt treatment. The treatment has to be correct and it has to be given on time. Otherwise, it's of no use. The condition worsens and leads to death. There is a lot of improvement in the field of medical sciences, availability of good doctors, nurses, medicines, and diagnostic centers. So India is able to take care of its large population. Still, today also, if you see the COVID-19 situation of the world and you compare it to India, in spite of the large population, in spite of the illiteracy, in spite of the poor level of understanding, still we are much better than other countries. And yet, a large population suffers or dies due to delay in treatment or not having access to poor healthcare facilities. The treatment in hospitals, especially the private hospitals, are expensive and poor cannot afford it. There's a tendency of the doctors and manufacturers to experiment on patients. Non-medical add-ons add to the cost in private healthcare centers, such as televisions or branded food outlets, etc. They're not required, but they are there for people who can pay for it. Public health centers are not well equipped and are usually not clean. There's a lack of empathy by the doctors, and the ratio of doctors to the patients is, in a population of 10,000 people, there are only 6 doctors in India. When you compare this with the United States of America, there are 25 doctors in every population of 10,000 people. Now we are talking about the government-run healthcare services or public healthcare services. These are the services which are the backbone of healthcare services in India, and these are the hospitals and dispensaries run by the government, and their purpose is to provide healthcare either free of cost or at very low cost. They are called public for 2 reasons. First is these are for the common people, for the citizen of India or for the public. And secondly, the expenses of these healthcare systems are paid when we pay taxes. The public healthcare services are at 4 levels. At village level, there are small health centers, and these are run by trained nurses and health workers, and they deal with minor ailments and sicknesses. And over them is the public health center or PHCs. The doctors of PHCs oversee the work in villages also, or in the small health centers. Then at the district level, there are larger public health centers, and they have specific facilities for treating and testing ailments, and they oversee the functioning of the public health centers and the small health centers. In cities, there are large hospitals. The treatment is cheaper, but most hospitals, they suffer from the shortage of beds and medicines and equipment and qualified staff. The activities which the public health centers conduct are like this. They organize health camps. They spread awareness about diseases, especially communicable diseases. They assign Sundays and they call it polio drop days or polio days, and they go and give polio drops to children of ages 5 years and less. They provide vaccination service. They conduct campaign on sanitation and waste management. They take care of the medical conditions and medical needs of the going to be mothers and the newborn babies. Under private health services come the following: private clinics, private hospitals, private nursing homes, private nursing homes, sorry, it's repeated. Then private centers for specialized healthcare. Example is mental health or rehabilitation or spinal injury care centers, etc. Clinical research centers, laboratories, diagnostics centers, medicine shops also. And there are people who have some qualification and they pass an examination and they are given a recognition by the government. The last one are the people. They are known as registered medical practitioners. They are like doctors but not having MBBS degrees. Private health services, the main advantages are you get the latest medical treatment there. You get the latest medical care. You have the best diagnostic technology. You have well equipped operation theaters. You have well qualified and experienced doctors and specialists. Many often doctors and specialists from outside come and visit on certain days. They have good cleanliness and hygiene around and in the hospital. We have a good facility for stay, for especially for the person who is accompanying the patient in indoors patient. Then the food they provide is very good. They have good facility to provide vehicles, ambulances, etc. But the main disadvantages are like this: they're expensive. If a person has got the money, he can go and take healthcare from there. Then these private health service centers, they tend to experiment with new medicines. Pharma companies keep on coming with new drugs, new chemicals, and their representatives keep on visiting such doctors and health centers and give free samples, and they conduct experiments. And the doctors always say, try this and see, try it for 7 days and come back to me. And sometimes they take undue advantage of the ignorant patients. The people do not know what to do, and what they feel that whatever the doctor is saying is right. They consider a doctor to be their god. The private health centers work like business centers rather than like health service centers. They say that it is expensive to become a doctor, but other professions also are expensive to become. And most importantly, they hardly show any empathy with the patients. Now, illness is expensive. It's expensive to fall ill, especially for people who are traveling abroad. They know this. So they either take out a medical insurance or they practice healthy lifestyle. Medical insurance companies are one more reason why medical care is expensive, because they know, the hospitals also know that most of the people have the medical insurance, and they can charge any money, and that money will be reimbursed to them, to the patients. Now 40% of the population who are admitted to hospitals for treatment have to take a loan. Even from well-to-do families, they have to take a loan because, for example, if surgery has to be done on the heart, for example, it's always very expensive. The poor are malnourished because of poverty, and medical costs add to their poverty. Even those who are not in the category of poor, they also suffer because of the expenses, because often the medicines and the treatment go on for a long time. Now, there are some initiatives to improve the health of citizens taken by the government of India. Now, one of such is known as National Rural Health Mission. The objectives of this is like this: to reduce infant mortality rate. Infant means a baby who has just born. Till the age of 1 year, he is known as an infant. So they often die in large numbers, and government doesn't want that to happen. So they have plans to reduce infant mortality, and they take actions on that. And secondly, for the ladies who are going to become mummies, the would-be mothers, they are also at risk because of their medical of their condition, and of their greater need for nourishment, nutrition, and rest, which often they do not get. So often these mothers give birth and then they die, and when they die, the child becomes an orphan or loses his mother. So that's a big issue, and the government is paying a lot of attention on that. Thirdly, to provide access to all and to the public health services. The health services should be available to everyone from any strata of the society and any place in the country, whether it is a far-flung remote place or whether it is in the city. Fourthly, to promote child health, clean water, sanitation, and hygiene. And then to prevent and control communicable diseases as well as non-communicable diseases. Communicable diseases are the ones which spread because of infection, and non-communicable diseases are the ones which are not spreading from one person to another. COVID-19 is a communicable condition. Then the challenges to achieve these goals are lack of money. This is the biggest challenge. Even for a poor villager to travel to the city or from the place where he is living to go to the hospital, even for that they often do not have money. What to say about treatment and diagnosis? Many people do not have any awareness. They are not educated, or even if they are educated, they are not aware of their own conditions. Unless somebody tells them or the condition becomes very bad, then they go and seek medical advice. Women tend to be neglected in our society. Their health issues, the need for them to rest gets neglected. We often feel that they are second class citizens, and one should not do that. They are equal with us, and they require better health conditions, better nutrition, and better rest than men, because men can suffer a lot and still manage it because physically we tend to be stronger. There are few health centers in tribal areas and they do not function properly. If you look at Bastar and those Naxalite infested areas, do you think there will be medical centers working all the time? Do you think the doctors and the nurses will be able to attend every day? Do you think the dispensaries will have enough medicines? No. Then rural people still prefer to go to witch doctors and quacks. Those people who are doing black magic. When people get chicken pox, they often go to witch doctors. They call it as jharna. And quacks are the village doctors, not qualified doctors. Whatever they give medicine, people take that, whether it's good or bad. What could be the way out of this? The government has to play a proactive role to provide essential healthcare facilities even in remote places or far-flung places. Being proactive means to control a situation by taking your own initiative and making things happen rather than just waiting for things to happen. That is the meaning of being proactive. The government of India is showing a proactive stance on COVID-19. They take initiatives. They tell it to the people that, look, this is the condition and this is what you have to do. The people need to become more aware about good food, good hygiene, clean drinking water, and pollution-free environment. Prevention is always better than cure. It's easier to prevent illness and it is less expensive also. This last line which I've written in green color, let food be thy medicine. It was spoken by a man who is known as the father of medicine. His name is Hippocrates, and he said our food should be our medicine and our medicine should be our food. The doctors of our world, they do not tell it to the patients. They always say, try this medicine, try that medicine, this company, that company, this brand, that brand, and come to me after 10 days. If it works, fine. Otherwise, I'll give you some other medicine. I'll start you on something else. That is not the approach which they have been taught in their medical colleges. When they do their MBBS, they are given an oath. It is known as the Hippocrates oath. And one of the points in that is one which is there on your screen now. Your food should be your medicine. There's a small country in the Central America, between North America and the South America. It's known as Costa Rica. And they have a unique approach towards the development of their country. It's known as the Costa Rican approach. Their approach is, first of all, they dismantle their army. They don't have any army, navy, or air force. The money They used to spend on the army. Now they are spending on health, education, and basic needs of the country, like safe drinking water, sanitation, nutrition, and housing. So they have become one of the healthiest countries of the South America. Now we cannot do this because we have two neighbors. One is Pakistan, the other one is China. If we dismantle our army, they will create a lot of problem for all of us Indians. So that's a good approach, good thing to learn, but we cannot practice that in our country. This photograph is from Costa Rica. The word Costa Rica means rich coast. This is the end of the chapter. And in case you feel that you have gained from this chapter, give it a thumbs up. Giving it a thumbs down doesn't matter, because I'm not here for getting a thumbs up, I'm here for teaching. Bye till the next chapter.